Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome back and let's start. So, in the last class, I introduced you to the Docker, how to create Docker, and what is meant by containers and all the things. So, from today onwards, we will be working with the Docker only. Okay, so we will be working with especially we will be working with the containers. So, what exactly is a container? So, we are discussing about the Docker, and we have to discuss about the containers. So, what exactly is a containers? Okay, Julia Evans. So if you can see here, she has given an excellent what I can say, she has given an excellent documentation for this containers and the namespaces. So before we go for the Docker and containers, try to understand this what exactly is a container. So I first heard about the containers, it was like what and what's that. So if you see here, the word container doesn't mean anything super precise. It is nothing like, it is surprisingly, it is nothing like a new word. Okay, basically there are a few Linux kernel features that let you isolate the processes from each other. So those are called as namespace and C groups. When you use those features, you can call it as containers. So as we already discussed, so a container is a process that is running inside a container engine. Okay, a container is a process that is running inside the container engine. So one container and the other, if at all, if we are having multiple containers, all the containers are working in the isolated environment. See here, basically these features let you pretend you have something like virtual machine, except it's not a virtual machine at all. It's just a processes running in the same Linux kernel. So it is just a process. Okay. So let us see what is this namespace. So a namespace will isolate the environment. For example, if I am creating a container with the name some test container, and if I am containing another container with the name called as web container. So these two containers, whatever the containers that we have created, one is the test container and the other one is the web container. These two won't have any connectivity. Okay, they are isolated from each other. The one container will not communicate with the another container. So this is like a process. So if you see here, so one feature Linux provides here is namespaces. There are bunch of different kinds. So what are called as namespaces? In a PID namespace, you become PID1. So if you go for process ID, PID in the sense process ID. So process ID is also like a namespace. Sorry, process ID is also known as a namespace. Each process ID will have its own process ID, or else each process ID will have each process will have its own process ID. So how many processes that are running in the background for your Linux machine? So one process will not communicate with the another process. Okay, so in networking namespace, you can run a program on your port you want to without it conflict will with what's already running. Okay, so this is what. So namespace is a naming convention that will isolate one container with the another container, or else you are going to isolate one container, one process with the another process. And if you go down here, you will have the C group. C group in the sense, so it is like managing the resources. C groups will manage the resources. Each and every container which is running on your Linux, each and every process which is running on your each and every process. I am specifically mentioning that process, not the container. Each and every process that is running on the Linux server will have a specialized C group. Okay, we'll be allocating a particular amount of RAM, particular amount of CPU processing. So these are all be allocated. So that can be allocated with the CPU limits. We are going to set the limits for the desired processes. So this can be happened through the C groups. Okay. So am I audible for you? Mute yourself. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. So this is called as a container. So now let us go back and create a Docker server and let us see the first things first what we can do with the Docker server and how we can work with the containers. Okay. Now I am going to install a Docker server. Instances. Let me go with launch instance. I am going to create a Docker server. In the last session only, I have said you how to create the EC2 instances and how to access that. I will go with Ubuntu. Ubuntu 22.04 is good, or also you can go with 20.04 also. T2 micro key pair will be, I will go with AWS common. For everywhere, I will be using this common key pair that will be helpful for me. And I will create this in the Vola VPC subnet 1. Select an existing security group and test the connection. Launch the instance. So that I have configured a Docker server. Once I have configured this Docker server, let us log in into the server. Okay, hold on. Now this is my Ubuntu mission. Sudo su hyphen. As of now, I don't have any Docker. I'm right away. I'm not going to install any Docker. First of all, let us see what will be the Docker networks. So before you go into this, so let me install a few features in this apt update hyphen y apt update hyphen y. Okay, good. Now if you go for if config, I just want to know about the adapters. Right now if config like net tools are not installed, let us install that. Apt install hyphen y net hyphen tools. Good. Okay. So right now if you see if config, how many adapters that we are having? We have an Ethernet 0 adapter and we have a loopback adapter. This is the LO means loopback adapter, which means if you see here, whenever we are creating any server, you will have two adapters. This is my server. Okay, so what we have launched in the AWS, and we have an Ethernet adapter. This is the adapter which is connected to your server that will allow the traffic to enter into the server, and it is called as ETH0. ETH0, and it is having an IP address of, what is the IP address here you are having? So if you can see here, the IP address is 192.168.1.32. Okay, well and good. This is the IP which is assigned to this adapter. Okay, this is the IP address which is assigned to this adapter. Come on, hold on guys. And also let me give it is a private IP 192.168.32. 192.168.32. Okay, this is the private IP, and the same adapter will have the public IP. So private IP is configured for communicating within the VPC. If you want, if you are having another server to make the communication with the servers between the VPC, you can make the communication with the private IPs. But if any outsider wants to communicate, then we need to use the public IP. So this is also configured for the same adapter here. Okay, this is also configured for the same adapter. Right, good. So you will have a public IP and you will have the private IP. So through this adapter only, whatever the traffic is there, whatever the traffic that is entering into the server, or else anything that is requested by the server will go outside into the internet. Okay. Now here you will have a loopback adapter. Inside the server, you will have a loopback adapter that is helpful for the testing purpose. Okay, only for the testing purpose. Now the point is, when you see here, we don't find any another adapter right now. We are having only two adapters. Let us install that Docker. So to install Docker, what I will do here is curl-s capital L https://get.docker.com/bash. So this is the easiest method, or else if you want to follow the conventional method also, you can follow that. Okay, hold on. Right, we are able to install the Docker. Once the Docker is installed, what is happening? So here you can see the Docker got installed. Okay, so it is giving you that how to run the Docker and all the things, how to run the container. But now the point is, if you see here, we have a containerization engine. So right now we created a containerization engine called as Docker. This is the platform. On this Docker, what I can do here is I can run the multiple containers. I can run the multiple containers with multiple applications, which where one container is isolated from the another container. So one container by defaultly it will have its own application, it will do its own work. So if you want to make the communication will happen. But now the point is, we are having a platform so that we can create the containers. Now if you see here, if config, look at there, we have a Docker 0 adapter. So previously we are having Ethernet 0 and loopback only. But right now what is happening here? We got a new adapter called as Docker 0 adapter. What is this Docker 0 adapter? This Docker 0 adapter is called as a bridge adapter. The Docker 0 adapter is called as a bridge adapter. So which means, so when we install Docker inside our server, this Docker will generate a adapter called as Docker 0 or else bridge adapter that is helpful for communicating. So that is helpful for communication between the Docker containers to the internet. So if the Docker computer wants, or else Docker container wants to communicate with anything with the internet, or else if anybody wants to access the Docker containers, so through Docker adapter only the communication will be happen. Now if you can see here, look at there, Docker ps. If I give the command Docker ps, actually what is ps in Linux? Ps command is given for processes to know what are the processes that are running. If you give ps, it is going to display the same. Now here also we are providing Docker PS. Docker PS in the sense, what are the running processes on the Docker, which means containers. What are the running processes on the Docker, which means containers. Here you can see. So right now no container is running. If you want to know about the Docker networking adapters, so you need to verify these things. Very important. You need to remember the commands also. If you want to know the networking of the Docker. So simply Docker network ls. If you give this command, it is going to display what are the adapters that are there on this host machine. Here you can see we are having a bridge adapter. So right now, whenever we install the Docker, so automatically a bridge adapter is created, and this is the host adapter which you know about the Ethernet 0. If you want to know about in detail, simply what you can do here is docker inspect host. Okay, docker inspect network host. If you give this, it is going to provide you the details of that particular adapter. So here you can see a host adapter, local host, scope is local and driver is host. Host in the sense is nothing but your what I can say, sorry, your normal Ethernet adapter. Okay, so let me go for bridge adapter. Docker network or else inspect, my fault, Docker network inspect what is that adapter? Bridge adapter. If I go with this, so it is going to display the metadata of that particular bridge adapter or properties of that particular bridge adapter. So what it is displaying, name bridge, which means that the adapter which is created is the bridge adapter, and the driver is the bridge driver, which will connect between the containers. And what normally a bridge do, so a bridge will interconnect two different places. In the same manner here also, this bridge adapter will interconnect the containers and the host adapter so that it can communicate. So what is this bridge adapter will do? Look at here, the bridge adapter will connect the containers. So here I am having a container. So this container, if this container has to communicate, so the bridge adapter will connect the container. Okay, the bridge adapter will connect the container to the host adapter, to the normal server host adapter, so that the communication will be happen. So that the communication will be happen through the bridge adapter. If the container wants to communicate, it wants to get any data from the internet, it will be passing through the bridge adapter only. So this bridge adapter will be by defaultly will be working on a network called as 172.17.0.0/16. This is the network ID, and the IP address that is assigned to this bridge adapter is, so the IP address will be 172.17.0.1. This is the IP address of the bridge adapter. Okay, so by default, and this container, whenever we create any container, this container also comes under this bridge adapter only, so that the container one will have the IP address as 172.17.0.2. If you want to check out this, you can check it out. Okay, so let us create the container one. Now here you can see the bridge adapter, the default subnet. If you install the Docker also, you will get the same range of IP address 172.17.0. This is the default IP address specified for a Docker bridge adapter. So anywhere if you create the Docker bridge adapter, you are going to get this. Now let us create a container. Here you can see right now no containers are running. Docker ps, no containers are running. If you want to create a container, how you can create that? So to create a container, docker run -rm. What is this run command? You will come to know in the Docker lifecycle. But apart from the run command, -rm in the sense, if the container is stopped, why we are giving this rm? Rm means if the container is stopped, automatically the container should be removed. So there are two options. If you don't provide this rm, when the container is stopped, the container will be staying as a dead container in your Docker processes. Try to understand. If I don't provide -rm, when we stop the container will be stopped and it will be present as a Docker container only. Okay, in the stopped state, Docker container only in the stopped state. But when we provide -rm, if we stop the container, automatically Docker will remove the container. So let us see first one with the -rm, and then we will see without rm, so that you can get a clarity. So hyphen I means I want to, like, I means interactive. Interactive in the sense, if you want to communicate with the Docker, then you have to provide I means interactive. T means terminal. Okay, we need to get a terminal so that we can provide certain commands. And so if I don't provide this D means detached. Detached in the sense, if I don't provide the D, a container will be created. Container is going to be created, and directly we will be logged into the container. So it will not be in the detached mode. If I want to work with some another things, I cannot work. So I have to work with that container only. But now when I provide D means detached, a container will be created and that will be in the detached environment. So whenever I want, I can log into the container, or else if I don't want, I can exit from the container. So that is the reason I am providing -D. D means detached, and -name. So here you need to provide the name of the container. So I will provide the container name as container1. Okay, and the next one is, so if you want to provide any port number, you can provide the port number. Right now I am not discussing about the port numbers. Now here you need to provide the image, which is Nginx latest. So what is this image? The image is a basic container utility that will host the operating system and a little bit of services. So see, if you want to work with any computer, what you have to do? You cannot have a simple hardware. If you have a simple hardware like CPU processor, like CPU, RAM and hard disk, can you run any application on that particular hardware without installing the operating system? Is it possible for you to run any application? Are you able to understand? So without operating system, is it possible for you to run any application on the computer?
No.
No. So we need to have the operating system. So without operating system, we cannot do. In the same manner, here also, whenever we are working with the containers, so this Nginx latest, or else you can go for Ubuntu also. Let me do one thing. I'll go with Ubuntu so that you don't get confused. Ubuntu 2204. This is the version that I am providing, so that a container will be created with the Ubuntu operating system. Okay, inside that we don't have any particular operating system. So we don't we don't have any particular application. Basic utilities also not provided. Only operating system will be there. If you want to check out, let me create the container. So what it is saying, unable to find the image locally, it is extracting the container. Okay, after extracting, if you see here, docker ps, a container is running. Okay, a container is running. What is this bin bash? You will understand if when we go further into the concept.
Uh,
But right now a
can I ask a
container is,
question? Mm,
yes.
Yeah, we are using -rm, right? Can you
Mhm.
tell once again, like what it is doing? The rest of the command I am able to understand, but what it is doing, -rm. Mm,
Did you
the-
hear what
but
I said before?
yeah, but got confused. But what I understood is we are able to create the container with
Mm-hmm.
some ways, but we are giving the name also.
Mm-hmm.
We are under. I understood the I for T for D for, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I missed. Yeah, I think uh, I was unable to understand what it is doing with -rm. Just want to know.
Okay, I will tell you. Just hold on.
Yeah.
Just hold on.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Now a container is created. Once this container is created here, now I just want to inspect the container. I want to inspect the container. So what is the metadata? So here you can see Docker inspect, okay, container1. When I try to inspect, which means that I'm just describing, I just want to know the metadata properties of that container. Look at here, what is the IP address that is assigned to the container? The IP address is 172.17.0.2. That is what I said here. Look at that, 172.17.0.2. And the next one here is, here you can see these are the network IDs and all the things, and it is going to provide the network settings. These are all the network settings. And here you can see what is the image name. Image name is Ubuntu and 2204. And if you go up, so it is running a command called as bin bash. You will understand about the commands. And so this is the details that are provided for the container. Okay, so these are the details that are provided by the container, right? So now the point is, if you want to look out that again, Docker network inspect bridge. If you see here under bridge adapter, under the bridge network, see here previously we don't have this particular part. Let me show you. You will be having, previously you are having only this part, and after that you are having this part. But right now you got a new part called as containers. What are the containers that are hosted on that particular bridge adapter? Right now we are having a container one that is running on that bridge adapter, or else that is interconnected to that bridge adapter, which is having an IP address 172.17.2.16. Now as per your question, ask when I coming back to your question, here you can see Docker ps. Right now it is running. Let me create another container without rm command. So run docker run -itd. I did not provide the -rm command. -itd -name container2, and image is, again I will be going with the same image, Ubuntu 2204. I will be going with the same image. So look at there, and another container is created. Now if you can see Docker ps, so we are having two containers with the name container1, and there is a container2 containers. Now the point is, if you see here Docker, what I can say, network inspect bridge. If I give this command, see here, previously we are having the IP address, we are having inside that bridge adapter, we are having container1 connected to that, and we got the IP address as 172.17.0.2. And now a new container is created, that is container2, which is having the IP address 172.17.0.3. Let us create the container. So as per this diagram, we have a new container. Okay, this is the container which we have created, and this container is also connected to this bridge adapter, and which is having the IP address as, so this is the name of the container is container2 172.17.0.3. okay, so one more thing that you need to understand here is, one container will obviously, if you try to ping manually, they will communicate with each other. Why? Because they are under only single network, so they will communicate with each other. So now the point is, let me go into the Docker container. Docker exec. If you want to go inside the container, you need to provide Docker exec. Exec means execute -it, which means that I want, as I already said you, IT in the sense interactive terminal. I need to have a terminal to communicate with the container, to give some commands with the container. So container1, and what I can do hyphen, or else simply I can go for bash. So bash means I need to provide certain commands. So previously, if you see, I have IP 192.168.1.32. This is my server IP. But if you can see here, there is 60635. What is the 60635? If you see here, 60635 is the container ID. So what is the container? This is the container one, container ID. Now I just logged into that container. Okay. So if you try to ping, so the utilities will not be there. See here, ping 172. What is the IP address of this container? So as you know that container one, we are in the container one. The container one IP is 172.17.0.2. Here you can clearly see that. But that I cannot get. Why? Because utilities are not there. If config, sorry, if config, if I run this command not found, and if you try to ping command also not found, which means that this container is created with the basic operating system, which doesn't have any utilities, any applications, nothing. So now we need to create, or else now we need to install that. What I can do here is apt update -y and apt install -y, apt install -y. What I can do here is I will install net-tools and ip-utils-ping. Okay, when I install that, okay, good. So let us ping it. Ping 172.17.0.3. So this IP address belongs to which container? 172.17.0.3 belongs to?
Second container.
Yeah, container 2. So right now we are in the container 1. See here, I am able to communicate with the container 2. From container 1 to container 2, you will have the communication with the IP address. Okay, now let us exit. Now the point is, here comes your, here comes, someone asked me the doubt, what is the -rm? So previously, whenever we created Docker container 1, we have provided this -rm. So whenever we created Docker container 1, so what we have done, if you see here, what is the command that I have executed? Yeah, this is the command which I executed for creating the Docker container 1. Okay, and look at there. Okay, and this is the command which I executed to run the Docker container 2. Okay, are you able to find the difference in between these two commands? What is the difference? That I did not provide -rm for Docker container 2, right? Now, if you see here, so there is a command that we need to run docker ps. If I give this command, it is going to display the processes. Or else you can give like this. I want only container ID. If I want the container ID, docker ps-a, docker ps-aq. Okay, if I provide this, I am going to get only the container IDs, whatever the container IDs of your Docker. -a means it is going to display all the containers, whatever the stopped containers, whatever the running containers. If you provide this docker ps, it is going to display only running containers, whatever the running containers are there, that it is going to display. And if you go for docker ps-a, it is going to display all the containers. There are some containers which are stopped, there are some containers which are created. So it is going to show you each and every container, not only running container. -a means all containers. Okay, and if you want the ID, then you can go for docker ps-aq. You are going to get only container ID. So I want to stop the container at a time. So if you see here, I want to stop the containers. So what I can do, docker stop $docker ps-aq. If I give this, see here what is going to happen. Hold on, we need to get stopped container 1. Look at there. Now if you see docker ps, right now we don't have any sort of running containers. All containers are stopped. But here docker ps -a, here I am having only container 2. What about container 1? What about container 1? I am having container 2, but what about container 1?
Up
Mm-hmm.
or remove.
Exactly, container 1 is removed. Why? Because here we have provided -rm, which means that when we stop the container, automatically Docker will remove the container when it is stopped. But here we did not provided -rm. So when we stop the container, Docker will set the container in the stopped mode. This is the difference between -rm and without providing rm. Now, do you understand this? Now, do you understand this? Who is asking this question? Do you have the clarity about this? Response. Guys, I don't have all the day. Okay, we don't have the session for 3 hours. I want your responses. Now, do you understand what it is going to do? Okay. Now, let me start the container 2. Docker start container 2. Now it is in the stopped state. I am going to start the container. So if you can see docker ps container 2 is running. Previously when I provide the command docker ps, no container is shown. But now when I start the container, automatically it is started. Okay, this is good. Now the next thing what you need to understand here is right now the container is running. That is good. So if I go for again docker network inspect, what I can do ls, if I give this or docker network inspect bridge, now I have a container 2 which is running with the IP address 172.170.2. Now I want to remove that also. What I can do, docker stop container 2, and what I can do here is I can go for docker remove docker rm container 2. I can do that. Hold on. Okay, docker rm container 2. Okay, so now the container is deleted. Docker ps, no container is running. Docker ps -a, here also no containers is running, so nothing, all the containers are deleted. Now let me create a few more containers at a time. If I want to create some 3 containers, what I will do here is for I in 1.3, which means that I want to create container 1, container 2 and container 3. So do docker run -itd. I am not going to use -rm. I am giving only -itd -name. The name of the container is nginx $1 or else nginx $i, which means that so these numbers will be replaced in the I. So I am going to get nginx 01, nginx 02 and nginx 03. A loop will be created and nginx 01, and the image is nginx latest. What is this image? You will come to know within a while. Hold on. And then sleep for 1 second and done. If you can see here, it is not able to find the nginx locally. Try to remember this command. So what it is saying, I will paste in the notepad so that I can give you a clarity about this. Right, here we have 3 containers created. If you see here, docker ps nginx 01, nginx 02 and nginx 03. 3 containers are created and 3 are running. If you inspect that, docker network inspect bridge. So see here, we have nginx 01 which is running on 172.17.02, nginx 02 running on 17.03, and we have another container that is created nginx 03 that is 172.17.04. Now, as per the diagram, we are having three containers. So we have a new container created, that is Nginx 0. Let me do one thing. Nginx 03. Okay, the point is here each and every container, whichever container we have created, they can communicate with the IP address. They can communicate with the IP address, but the point is they cannot communicate with the name. So if you try to understand here, look at there. Let me delete all this. So here we are having Nginx 01 with the IP 172.17.0.2. We have another container with the IP 172.17.0.3. We have the third container with the IP 172.17.0.4. These are the three containers that we have created. So now the point is each container will communicate with the respective IP address. So let us see that. So what I am going to do here is I will be logging into docker execute -it nginx nginx 01 bash. If I give this command, I will be in the docker container. So if I try to, now the ping command will be not there. So let me do one thing, apt update -y and apt install -y ip utils -ping. Okay, if you want net tools also, you can install that. Net tools. Here the containers are the stateless. Containers are stateless. What is meant by stateless? So here I am passing a statement called as containers are stateless. What is meant by stateless? You will come to know about that. Hold on. Now the point is, if I try to communicate ping 172.17.0.3, I am getting the response from the Nginx 02. Right now I am in the Nginx 01. I am trying to communicate with Nginx 02 container. I am able to get the response. But if you want to get the communication ping Nginx 02, so see here what is saying, name or service unknown or else not known. So with the name you are unable to communicate. So sometimes if at all, if there are two containers, for example, let me show you. So I am having an application container, so that is running the application inside this container, and I am having a database container. I am having a database container. So here the point is, sometimes this application container has to communicate with the database container through the name. So sometimes the application container has to communicate with the database container through the name. But here we are unable to communicate with the name in the default network adapter. So why? Because all these containers are created or else connected in the default network adapter. If you want to come out of the container, simply control PQ so that you can come out of the container. So control PQ is the button, guys. Again, so the buttons that you have to press is control P, control P plus Q. So you will be coming out of the container. Okay. Anyways, so this is how you can come out of the container. Right now, all the containers are connected to the default network adapter. So that is Docker 0. Now if you can see Docker network inspect bridge. So here all the containers are connected to the default adapter. So if you want, if anything, if I say default, you can change that. If I want to create a new adapter, new network adapter, then what I can do here is Docker network create, Docker network create. So the adapter name is, what I can do, if you have any doubts, you can go for help, Docker network create help, so that it is going to give you this attachable, okay, driver, ingress, internal. So like that you can provide this. So right now I just want to create the adapter, so I can provide the adapter name. So here you can provide Docker network create. The network name which I want to create here is external adapter. This is the name of the adapter, external. See here, you got a specific, this is the encrypted message. Now what I want to do, I want to check the Docker network ls. See here, a new adapter is created and it is also a bridge adapter. Whatever the adapter that we have created right now, this is also a bridge adapter. So here what happened, now we just created a adapter. This is external adapter which I have created. Let me remove this. This is the external adapter which I just created, and the name of this adapter is external. Okay, it is also a bridge adapter. It is also a bridge adapter. Now what happens here? Now this adapter will be running on a particular range of IP address. This will be running on 172.18.00/16. If you want to change the IP address, you can change it. Okay, if you want to inspect that, docker inspect docker network inspect external. So see there, what is the IP address that is assigned to this 172.18.00. So now the containers are running on this Docker 0. They are all connected to this Docker 0 default adapter. Now if I want to run this containers on this external adapter, now what is my requirement? I want to run the containers on the external adapter. Right now I don't want to run on the Docker 0 adapter. So what I can do here is, first of all, I can disconnect the containers from Docker 0 and connect them to the external adapter. Now see here, what I can do here is Docker network disconnect Nginx. What I can do here is Docker network disconnect bridge, and which container? Nginx 01. Okay, so if you see here, Nginx 01 is disconnected. Now how I can say that? See here, Docker network inspect bridge. The bridge is the name of the adapter. Now if you can see here, Nginx 01 is not available. See, when I inspect that, on the default bridge adapter, previously we used to have Nginx 01 with the IP address 172.17.0.2, but right now we don't have that Nginx 01. So which means that that is disconnected. Now what I can do here is Docker. So what about Docker inspect Nginx 01? Nginx 01. So here you can see the IP address is not attached. Here you can see there is no IP address for the Nginx 01. Why? Because Nginx 01 is disconnected from the Docker 0. Nginx 01 is disconnected from the Docker 0 and it is alone. So right now it doesn't have any sort of IP, which means when it is disconnected from the Docker 0, it doesn't have any IP address. Now what I have to do here is, I need to connect this Nginx 0 to the external adapter. How I can connect that? See here, Docker network connect external for the Nginx, which container? So here I am saying that you need to connect to the external adapter, which container? Nginx 01. So if you connect that, so if you can see Docker network inspect external, when I give this command, here you can see Nginx 01 is connected to the external network adapter with the IP address 172.18.0.2. Here you can see I just created an Nginx 01 and sorry, I just connected Nginx 01 with the IP 172.18.0.2. So this is assigned for the Nginx 01. Now I want to disconnect this Nginx 02 also. Right now we are having Nginx 02. Let me do one thing. I want to disconnect this Nginx 02 Okay, nginx 02 container, and I want to connect it to 172.18.0.3. This is the IP address which is going to be assigned to your nginx 2 adapter. Let us check out that. So how to disconnect? Simply docker disconnect, docker network disconnect bridge nginx 02, and then docker network connect external nginx 02. Done. If you inspect that, docker network inspect external, look at that. Previously we are having nginx 01 only. Right now we are having nginx 02 also. Now when I log into the nginx 01, let me log in back. Docker execute -it nginx 01 and bash. When I give this command, so right now I am logging into the nginx 01. If I go for ping nginx 02, look at there. So through the naming convention, I am able to communicate. What is the difference that you find out between the default bridge adapter and the new bridge adapter which we have created? Can you explain the difference between the old adapter and the new adapter? Yes.
I
Is
think
there
in
any?
old output can the ping command is working via IP address, and in
Mhm.
externals we can come via names.
Exactly. So in the external, we can communicate with the IP address also. 172.18.0.3, we will get the response, which is nginx 02 IP. So which means that if at all, if you are having a default adapter, the default adapter is unable to communicate with the containers through the names. But whenever you are having an external bridge adapter, you can communicate with the names also. That is the difference between the Docker default adapter and Docker external bridge adapter, which we are creating, which we are manually creating. So I hope the networking part is clear, guys. Any questions? Any questions in the networking part? Any questions in the networking part? Is it clear for you?
Yeah, it's clear.
Chaitanya,
Mm-hmm.
so my question is, it is possible to communicate from bridge after adapter container to network adapter container?
So very good question. See here. Okay. So what is a bridge adapter? That is not possible. We can connect that ping, or else see here 172.17.0.4. Look at there. What is happening? Actually, nginx 01 is in which adapter? External adapter.
External.
And nginx 04 is in bridge adapter.
Uh,
So, so what are happening here? By defaultly, they are not able to communicate. But if you try, you can communicate that. Okay, we'll discuss about that.
okay.
Any any another question, guys? Okay, chalo. So I right now I cannot explain you the Docker architecture. Why? Because it is already 6:55. To explain the Docker architecture, it will take a few more minutes, around 6:20. Sorry, 7:20 around. So I will wind up the session here. Tomorrow we will discuss about the Docker architecture and Docker lifecycle. So that Docker, or else simply I can call it as container lifecycle, container architecture and container lifecycle, and then you will get a clear-cut understanding. And one more thing, guys, today is the last session in the sense last demo session, and from tomorrow onwards, whoever has enrolled for the course, they will be getting a new URL for joining into the course. Okay, so please note that. And one more thing here is, see here, and again, why I need to take another day. Docker connection between two different networks. So here you can create and connect to that. Here they have clearly explained. See there. Docker network between the or else Docker network between containers, Docker networking example. Here you can see if you go down, here there is a container that is running. Okay, that is good. And by default, each and every container will be running. But the point is you can establish the communication. This is called as Docker file where we can generate a image. You will come to know about what is meant by image and other things. But as of now, the point is you can establish the communication by defaultly. Okay, there is an option. Just forgot about that option. Hold on. Docker communication, Docker container communication between two different Docker container communication between two different networks. Can two Docker networks communicate? To let the Docker containers communicate with each other by the name, you can create a user-defined bridge network, which we have defined that. In user-defined bridge network, you can more explicitly about who joins the network. Everything is that. Now the point is, I just want to just forget about that command, but hold on. This is one of the container. Okay, communicating between the containers. Here there is an option. This is what we have done. But I can say that I can tell you tomorrow and I can do that. But let us see. There is an option that is available for us. I just forgot that. Hold on. This is what we have done right now. User defined bridge network. Create, and then he has created in that network. Okay, that is good. And the point is, you're also not specified how to create the container in the network. He has specified that. Okay, so let us see the Stack Overflow. Here they will provide a very good command. So bridge network, okay, good. Docker network inspect, that is good. IP tables, yeah, this is the one. So there is an option here. Let me show you this. So when I go for an option called as, here you can see there is a PowerPoint presentation where I have given you the clear-cut Docker concept here. Hold on. Docker network disconnect. This is the one. See here. Make the communication between two containers deployed in the two different networks. Now what you can do here is, first of all, you need to provide this command. So we are allowing IP tables are the old methodologies. Here you can see IP tables are like firewalls. Previously in Linux, we used to have the IP tables. Now we are having the firewalls. So Docker IP table, IP tables -i Docker user -i, and here you need to provide the bridge adapter. So what is the bridge adapter 1? So that you need to provide here, and input is from bridge adapter 1 and the output is bridge adapter 2. Here you need to provide that. So here you will have the bridge adapter. What is the name? Docker network inspect. Hold on. Sudo su hyphen. Now here you can see what they are saying. Here it is pretty clearly given, Docker user -- bridge 001. So which means that Docker user, and he has given a clarity. Here you can see the names will be usually looking like the bridge interfaces names of the network will be, and here they will be like this PR-. So now what I want to do here is Docker network ls. If I given this is the content network ID. Copy this, okay, and paste it over here. And there is one more adapter, that is external network ID. Copy this. This is the adapter name and paste it over here. So this is the one way, and I need to provide the opposite also. Let me copy this, and I just want to provide the opposite. So which means that here I need to provide. So from that container to this container, Okay, from this network to the opposite network. So opposite networks I need to communicate. These two commands I need to provide. Okay, good. So now let us execute these commands. Okay, good. And let me execute this command also. So when I execute this command, where is this? Okay, good. Now let me log into the Docker execute -it nginx 01 and bash. Now see here, ping 172.17.0.4. So at any point of time you will get the responses. Here as per this, here you can see that we have provided the bridge adapter 1 and bridge adapter 2. Okay, but there is a simple point which we are unable to communicate. But anyways, so the point is, finally, yes, we can make the communication by allowing the communication through the IP tables. Right now it is not communicating, but there is a point. So I just need to check out this bridge adapter once, then I can definitely say you that there is definitely we have the communication between two different networks. Okay, so this is what I want to say. So the answer for your question is yes, we can make the communication between two different network containers also, but you don't find that much what I can say requirement to make the communication between two different networks. Okay, but if at all possible, I will show you that also. Okay, any further questions, guys? Share the diagram. It is not a very big diagram to share. So whenever you are watching the video, try to create your own diagram. So I just gave you for the explanation. Okay, so that is what I will share you the important documents, guys. These are all the diagrams which we can create. I'm creating it for your understanding only. So go through the video so that you can get the diagram also. Okay, fine then. Chalo. So let's wind up the session. That's all for today. And we will meet in the next session and discuss more and more topics on the Docker. So the point is, we are not going for the tomorrow onwards. We don't have this free demos. So the 3 demos are completed. From tomorrow onwards, you will have the sessions, live sessions. Okay, that's all for today. Have a nice day and bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.